That evening began like any other, simple and unremarkable, yet quickly spiraled into something I hadn't anticipated. Sarah, my wife, had her annual company party, a ritual she never missed. As we got ready, she pulled me aside, her voice casual but precise. "Just pretend we're friends tonight," she said, avoiding my eyes for a moment. "Act normal. Smile. Don't get too close. It'll make things easier for everyone." I paused, processing her words. Friends. She wanted me to hide the fact we were married, to act like strangers, or at least like distant acquaintances. This wasn't the first time she'd asked me to tone down our relationship in front of her colleagues. But tonight, something felt different. There was a subtle tension beneath her calm instructions, an unspoken edge that I couldn't ignore. We arrived, and the atmosphere hit me instantly. Laughter, clinking glasses, the hum of forced cheer. Sarah moved the crowd with practiced ease, greeting colleagues, exchanging jokes, sliding seamlessly into the rhythm of the party. I trailed behind, careful to maintain the polite distance she had instructed. Then I saw him, Michael, her boss, awkwardly standing alone at the edge of the room, nursing a drink, his presence almost invisible. A part of me wanted to follow Sarah's script, to hover quietly at her side and play the perfect, invisible husband. But another part, a quiet, stubborn voice, whispered, "Not this time." So I made a choice. Instead of blending into the background, I walked toward Michael. A polite smile, a simple introduction, and soon we were talking. I could feel Sarah notice immediately. Her glance was sharp, calculating, a silent warning. Stay away. But I didn't retreat. I wasn't being defiant out of spite. I simply refused to vanish. The conversation flowed easily, unexpectedly natural. And all the while, I could sense Sarah's growing discomfort. She wasn't angry. Not yet, but there was a tension in her posture, a subtle unease I had rarely seen. Sometimes, I realized, simply asserting your presence is enough to shift the balance of a room. As the party continued, I stayed with Michael, listening, responding, genuinely engaging. He was surprisingly candid, easy to talk to, even a little lonely. And through it all, Sarah's eyes tracked me like a hawk. She attempted subtle corrections, moving closer to him, tossing in casual comments, but I remained relaxed, calm, unshakable. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about defiance. It was about being visible, about refusing to disappear for the sake of someone else's image. Gradually, the room itself seemed to respond. Colleagues threw small glances, subtle reassessments. A few even offered smiles, acknowledgments I hadn't received before. Sarah's anxiety grew. I noticed her biting her lip, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, trying repeatedly to pull me back into the role she had scripted. Finally, she approached me directly, frustration and disbelief mixed on her face. "Why are you still sitting here?" she asked, quieter now, almost incredulous. I met her gaze steadily. "Because I'm talking to him," I said simply. "There's nothing wrong with that." Her eyes widened. She had expected compliance, a return to the obedient husband she assumed I would be. Instead, I claimed my own space, quietly asserting that I wasn't a shadow waiting for instructions. She opened her mouth, perhaps to argue, to redirect, to command, but no words came. For the first time, I saw a crack in the certainty she always projected. Michael, sensing the tension, excused himself for a moment, leaving us a rare pause. Sarah exhaled softly, a mixture of exasperation and reluctant respect crossing her face. "You don't understand," she said finally, softer this time, almost vulnerable. "I just didn't want anyone to notice us. I didn't want to complicate things." I nodded, understanding. I understood appearances, social expectations, the desire to maintain control. But I also understood something more important. Respect and presence matter more than appearances. "I get that," I replied. "But hiding who we are or expecting me to disappear isn't fair. Not to me, not to us." Silence fell for a moment, tense but clarifying. Then she smiled faintly, a subtle acknowledgement of the lesson I had imparted without confrontation. That presence, self-assurance, and refusal to be minimized are more powerful than compliance. The rest of the night passed with her by my side, more aware of me, more mindful of my space, but no longer trying to control it. I left the party with a quiet sense of victory. Not loud, not boastful, but firm and undeniable. Sometimes, the most meaningful victories aren't about winning arguments or proving a point. They're about simply being present, standing firm, refusing to disappear, and letting the world and the people in it acknowledge that you exist, and you won't be diminished